Hello, and welcome to Healthy Meal Preppers. I am Nikita Sharma, personal trainer, and here we have Melissa, meal prep coach, and Dr. Amita Kumar, wellness and health coach. So today we are talking about bio-individuality, and let's get right into it. What is it?
I probably made up the term. I don't even know where it came from. As we were going through our 21-day reset, we started thinking about the way we wanted to start from the top and work our way down to things that we thought one step needed to come before the other. I think that this conversation stemmed around this idea of what people call certain ways of eating, right? So before the next week, we're going to talk about counting macros, right? And like creating a budget for macros. But there are different schools of thought, right? And so that's why this conversation I think is so interesting to have, with Dr. Kumar, obviously, because I mean that, we've talked about how many carbs, when people say I eat 0 carbs, right? So I'm on like an Atkins kind of diet. There's different variations of that, right? There's, I can go like paleo, which is, I only eat certain carbs, but I'm not necessarily counting carbs. I can go to a keto type of diet where I'm trying to really get minimal, carbs in a day. And so there's these different schools of thought. So that's why we called it bio individuality. I think that it's important to pick something that defines the type of diet that you're going to do. And there's lots and lots of them. For Chronometer and also where we do our meal prep guides, they have keto, which is, as you know, like very low carb, but not necessarily as strict when it comes to fat. Now, fat can add up really quickly, as we all know, but it's being a little more generous with fats, right? There's paleo, so a paleo diet, and you can look all these up, right? And that's why I think deciding what your bio individuality is helps you research recipes. That's really honestly what I feel like is a great thing for you to try for yourself and to try some recipes. So like when I go to Pinterest, for example, I decided in my 20s that I wanted to go on a very, very, very low fat diet, right? So I would go out there and I would research little to no fat, meals. And then I tried to build a day's worth of eating around low fat. Now I think I tend to be a little more on the low carb side because I feel like I don't know if I created it or if it came with age, but I feel like I can't process flour and gluten and things like that the same way that I used to. I think it really causes me tummy issues if I'm eating breads and pastas and things like that. So I try to find things that are low carb. But Amita, have you ever tried? I know Nikita, you talked about you had tried like keto or something along the lines of keto or paleo or something like that, right?
I've tried keto, I've tried no carb, I've tried not high carb, but moderate carbs. I've gone like vegan, vegetarian, and
Oh yeah.
I tried a bunch of them. And I think it really, when you're picking a diet, yes, pick like what agrees with your body, but also what your goal is. Because if your goal is to like build muscle, like increase tone, it's going to be very, very different from perhaps like an elimination diet where you want to heal your gut and certain things like that.
I was just going to say that. So I'm not good at following rules. And I probably shouldn't be saying all these things out loud. And being compliant. So my mantra has always been everything in moderation. Because I think it's the most sustainable. And I actually preach that to my patients too. I do though talk about, again, just like increasing protein or increasing fruits
Mhm.
and vegetables. And
Right.
so like when I decided, because it never feels good to like delete something from your diet, you know, it just always feels like you're depriving yourself, or at least me, you know. So when people are like no sugar or no this or no that, like I've been gluten-free ish for like 10 years basically. Sometimes I'm like really gluten-free and sometimes I'm gluten light. Most of the time I'm gluten-free, but it doesn't mean I don't eat bread. It just, I eat gluten-free bread and I try to make it healthy. Or I just like to add fruits and vegetables. So I'll do like the green juices, you know, for a week or two or a month or two or whatever, until I forget and then I get back on track, you know,
Mhm.
or like increase my protein. So cottage cheese, that's Melissa's biggest probably addition to my life. You know, adding cottage cheese. And so do I eat cottage cheese every single day? Of course not. But I know that I try to remember that food is fuel. And I think that helps me.
Right.
This morning I did not have breakfast and I went to Pilates, and I'm not an expert in Pilates, but I had like, you know, my tea and some water. And when I came back, I almost started eating chips out of my pantry. But I grabbed some trail mix instead.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's just like knowing my own weaknesses. And I think that that's probably my take home point for anyone.
Yeah. I think what was helpful for me was I wanted to create a few days worth of food with a little bit of variety. I think I told you when I went on the journey of, you know, really journaling, counting, building out macros, building out a macro budget. It was all about documentation at first. So I just wanted to take a baseline. What is it that I eat in a normal day? And then if I try to create some meals, how can I build 3, 4, 5, 6 meals that I can rotate through? And I know exactly how many calories, how much fat, how many carbs, bless you.
Thank
Um,
you.
and so through that is where I found that these names of diets, you know, were really helpful because I'm a Pinterest girl, right? I really like to go over to Pinterest and find some recipes that already have the calorie count, the macros, all that kind of stuff. Now we have a super extensive database of recipes now that have all the macros in it. So that's a benefit of being, you know, on membership. And what I like to say, right, is $14 a month, you get access to as many recipes as you can imagine that have the macros and the calories. But if you find that you want to do a plant-based diet, or you want to do a keto diet, or do you want to try you know, Atkins diet or a Mediterranean diet, right? A lot of people are on Mediterranean diets. There's a way for us to calibrate that in our software. So I just want to make sure that people know that. And I think that there this is my experience, and it's not because I think this just comes with, you know, like I said, age and doing this as long as I have been, that it's not a one size fit all. It's just not. My metabolism is not the same as Nikita's, and we're not in the same age bracket. And even though Amita and I are the almost exact same age, like her body and my body is completely different. And the way that she processes food is completely different. And so I think it's really helpful if you start learning you start learning, how often do I want to eat, and what things make me feel good and what things do I not like. I see on all the time on the Facebook group, you know, people are like, oh, I wish I could love avocados, I can't stand them, but I keep trying. Well, if you don't like them, stop trying to eat them. You know what I mean? There's other ways to get healthy fats. And if you don't like cottage cheese sweet, try it savory. You know, if you don't like cottage cheese at all, don't eat it. You know, I mean, this is about grace, but creating a bio individual thing for where you are might be helpful when it comes to next week, which is us putting together a macro budget. So I can help go through some tools about how to create a macro budget. But in this week, if we can just kind of focus on the type of eating that we kind of think in this season is something that we want to try to work on: low sugar, low carb, gluten-free, plant-based, you know, keto, paleo. Just start to learn some of those terms, because again, it's not a one size fits all, and it's also not about shaming someone else for the choices that they're making. I think we all get carbs, no matter what anybody says, we all get carbs. It's just where we get them. You're going to get them from vegetables, or you're going to get them from, French fries. I mean, we're all going to get carbs in some way or another. And so those are some of the things that we'll need to know going into next week. Does that make sense?
Let's call this I guess we can wrap it up and say, this is your permission to listen to your body and eat what you need. But remember, it's what you need and not what you want. So is it because you need a dopamine hit? Is it because you're low on energy? Is it because you need quick energy? Like, be super mindful, intentional about what you want to eat, need to eat, and the difference between the two. So
Right.
I'm going to say everything in moderation one more time, just because I think it's just almost impossible to literally deprive yourself of any one food group. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm very much so on the everything in moderation train as well. Like, yes, I eat 80% of the time healthy, like meats, vegetables, but then also if I want to go out for some ice cream or whatever, I allow myself to do that. It's life is meant to be enjoyed, not restricted. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
thanks,
All
everyone.
right. Thanks, ladies.